You walk into Home Depot on a Saturday morning, grab a few bags of garden soil for that raised bed you have been planning, and walk out feeling pretty good about yourself. Maybe you spent $40, maybe $60. You figure soil is soil, and the big brand names on those bags must mean something. 3 weeks later, your tomatoes are yellow, your peppers look like they are auditioning for a horror movie, and you are standing in your backyard wondering what you did wrong. Here's the truth. Nobody at that garden center wanted to tell you. You did not do anything wrong. You got robbed in broad daylight, and the worst part is you thanked them for it on the way out. Today, I am pulling back the curtain on 5 of the most popular bagged soil brands in America that are absolutely fleecing gardeners. And then I am going to show you 5 hidden gems that actually deliver what they promise. If this kind of consumer investigation is what you are here for, do me a favor and hit that like button and subscribe to the channel, because we expose this stuff every single week, and I do not want you to miss the next one. Now let's get into it. Let's start with the king of the garden aisle, Miracle-Gro Garden Soil. You have seen those bright yellow and green bags stacked to the ceiling at every Home Depot store across America. In 2025, you are paying around $10 for a 3/4 cubic foot bag, which sounds reasonable until you find out what is actually inside. Independent lab analysis conducted by Garden Myths in 2019 broke down the contents of these bags, and the results were genuinely shocking. The primary ingredients are aged forest products and sedge peat, which is a fancy way of saying ground-up wood chips and the cheapest peat available on the market. They lace it with a synthetic fertilizer to make your plants green up fast in the first few weeks. But here's the catch. That fertilizer depletes within 60 days. After 2 months, you are essentially gardening in expensive mulch. Your plants explode with growth. You feel like a gardening genius, and then suddenly everything stalls out right in the middle of the growing season. That is not a coincidence. That is a business model. Now let's talk about Scott's Premium Topsoil, which sounds even more impressive because of that word premium. You can grab a 3/4 cubic foot bag for about $5, and on the surface it seems like a steal compared to the Miracle-Gro option. But a 2018 Consumer Reports investigation tore this product apart, and I mean that literally. Investigators opened bags from multiple retail locations and found them packed with construction site-filled dirt, ground-up shipping pallets, and straight sand. The packaging advertises an organic matter content of 15 to 20%. The actual measured content in some samples came in as low as 3%. 3%. You are paying for premium topsoil and getting roughly the same nutritional value as the dirt on the side of the highway. The kicker is that Scott's owns Miracle-Gro, so the same company is double dipping into your wallet from both directions. Whether you reach for the cheap option or the expensive option, the same corporation wins, and your garden loses. Moving down the price ladder, we have Vigoro Garden Soil, the Home Depot house brand that costs around $4 per cubic foot. Cheap soil, cheap results. That's just how it works, right? Wrong. Cheap doesn't even begin to describe what's happening in these bags. In 2021, a massive community thread on the Reddit gardening forum documented hundreds of users opening Vigoro bags and finding visible plastic fragments mixed throughout the soil. There were chunks of wood larger than 2 inches across, the kind of thing you'd expect to find in a landscaping mulch, not a planting medium. And the pH testing results were the real horror show. Bags pulled from the same pallet, manufactured the same day, tested anywhere from 4.5 to 8.2 on the pH scale. That's the difference between blueberry soil and concrete. You literally cannot grow a consistent garden with this product because you have no idea what you're putting in the ground from one bag to the next. It's gardening roulette, and the house always wins. Here's where things get genuinely disturbing. Kellogg Patio Plus is the soil you will find stacked in mountains at California Home Depot locations, going for about $9 per 1.5 cubic foot bag. Kellogg has been owned by Scott since 2012, which should already raise red flags given what we just covered. But the 2019 California Department of Food and Agriculture inspection of this product uncovered something far worse than cheap ingredients. Multiple production batches exceeded state legal limits for fecal coliform bacteria. The source of that contamination was improperly composted biosolids, the polite industry term for processed human sewage from municipal treatment plants. Now, biosolids can be legally used in agriculture when they are properly treated and composted at high temperatures for extended periods to kill pathogens. The problem is Kellogg was cutting corners on that process, and bagged sewage was ending up in soil that people were spreading on their vegetable gardens. Think about that the next time you are tempted to grab a cheap bag with a friendly cartoon vegetable on the front. And let's not give compost a free pass just because it sounds wholesome. Black Co. Composted cow manure has been a staple in southern gardens for decades, and at $6 per 50-pound bag, it seems like a no-brainer addition to your raised beds. Cows eat grass. Cows make manure. Manure makes plants grow. Simple, right? Not quite. A 2020 University of Florida extension study analyzed black cow samples and found the actual nutrient profile averaged just 1-1-1 on the NPK scale, despite marketing language that implies far richer fertility. But the real bombshell in that study was the detection of aminopyrrolide, a persistent herbicide that survives the digestive tract of cattle and the composting process. Gardeners who applied contaminated black cow watched their tomato and bean crops die in twisted, deformed ways, and the contamination remained active in their soil for 2 full growing seasons after application. 2 years of failed gardens from a single bag of cow poop that promised to make everything better. All right, the bad news is out of the way. Let me show you what good soil actually looks like, because the difference is night and day. Coast of Maine Bar Harbor Blend is the first hidden gem on this list, and you will typically find it at independent garden centers rather than big box stores. It runs about $15 per cubic foot, which sounds expensive until you realize what you are actually buying. The ingredient list reads like a coastal recipe: genuine compost, sphagnum peat moss, lobster shells, and kelp meal. The company has held a third-party verified OMRI listing since 2003. The Organic Materials Review Institute has tested and certified the contents of these bags for over 2 decades. Independent soil labs consistently measure organic matter content between 8 and 12% in Bar Harbor Blend, which is 2 to 4 times what you get from the mass market brands at similar price points. Your money is going into actual plant nutrition instead of ground-up shipping pallets. The second hidden gem is one a lot of you have probably heard whispered about in serious gardening circles: Fox Farm Ocean Forest potting soil. At roughly $25 per 1.5 cubic foot bag, this is not a budget option, but a 2022 grower comparison study by Epic Gardening put it head-to-head against Miracle Grow in a controlled tomato trial. The Fox Farm plants outproduced the Miracle Grow plants by 34% in total yield. The reason is simple. The bag actually contains what the label says it contains: real earthworm castings, real bat guano, crab meal, forest humus, sphagnum peat, and aged forest products that are actually aged rather than just freshly chipped. You are paying more upfront, but you are growing 2.5 pounds of tomatoes for every 2 pounds the Miracle Grow plants produce, and you are doing it without needing to spike the soil with synthetic fertilizers every 3 weeks. The third hidden gem is Dr. Earthpot of Gold All-Purpose Potting Soil, which has been quietly outperforming the big names for years without anyone noticing. It retails near $20 per 1.5 cubic foot bag and carries both the non-GMO Project Verified certification, earned in 2017, and an OMRI organic listing. What sets this product apart is the biology in the bag. Dr. Earth includes 7 different strains of beneficial mycorrhizae, fungal partners that bond with plant roots and dramatically expand their ability to gather water and nutrients from the surrounding soil. They also add a probiotic blend of beneficial microorganisms that establish active soil biology within 14 days of planting. You are not just buying dirt, you are buying a living ecosystem that will continue to feed your plants long after the synthetic fertilizers in the cheap bags have washed away in the first rainstorm. The 4th hidden gem comes from a name some of you might recognize from your local Ace Hardware, Espoma Organic Potting Mix. About $13 gets you an 8-quart bag, and Espoma has been making garden products since 1929, which means they've had nearly a century to figure out what actually works. Their flagship innovation is something called a mycotone, a proprietary blend of 11 different strains of mycorrhizal fungi covering both endo and ectotypes, and it partners effectively with virtually any plant species you might want to grow. Peer-reviewed trials conducted at Rutgers University demonstrated that plants grown in Espoma Organic with mycotone required 30% less water than plants grown in conventional potting mixes. Less water means lower bills, less work, and more resilient plants during summer heat waves. That's real value built on real science, not marketing fluff designed to move pallets at Home Depot. The 5th and final hidden gem is the one I get most excited about, Malibu Compost Bu's Brew Biodynamic Blend. This product has been produced since 2010 using inputs from Demeter-certified biodynamic dairy farms, and that is a level of agricultural certification that goes beyond organic. A cubic foot bag runs around $14, and the lab analysis from 2021 puts everything else on this list to shame. It contains 22% organic matter, roughly 7 times what some mass-market brands deliver. Total nitrogen content measured at 4.2%, which is genuinely exceptional for a compost product. When you put Bu's Brew in your garden, you are adding nutrient density that the cheap bags cannot touch at any price point. A single application changes the trajectory of an entire growing season, and the soil biology it introduces continues paying dividends year after year. So here's where we land after pulling all of this together. The bagged soil aisle at your local big box store is not your friend. The brands with the biggest marketing budgets and the most prominent shelf placement are very often the worst values, and in some cases, they are actively harmful to your garden and potentially to your family. Real soil costs real money, because real ingredients cost real money. When you see a bag of premium garden soil for $4, you need to ask yourself how that is possible. The answer is almost always that someone is cutting corners somewhere, whether that means construction site fill dirt, contaminated biosolids, or persistent herbicides that will poison your beds for years. The 5 hidden gems I covered today cost more per bag, but they cost dramatically less per harvest. You will grow more food, use less water, spend less time troubleshooting problems, and end up with healthier soil at the end of the season than you started with. That is the entire game right there. If this video opened your eyes to what is happening in the garden aisle, hit that like button and subscribe so you do not miss the next investigation. Drop a comment letting me know which of these brands you have used and what your experience was, because the more we share information, the harder it gets for these companies to keep ripping people off. I will see you in the next one.